Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, today I stand before you to speak about one of the most profound and powerful forces that has ever existed in the history of humankind: the power of faith. Faith. What a simple word, yet filled with immeasurable depth and significance. Faith, as defined in Hebrews 11:1, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Let that sink in for a moment. Faith is substance. Faith is evidence. It is the force that allows us to believe in things we have not yet touched, seen, or even fully understood. Faith is the bedrock of hope. It is the foundation upon which dreams are built and upon which the seemingly impossible becomes possible. Now, you might ask, how does believing in what we cannot see, hear, or touch change our reality? The answer is simple. Faith gives birth to vision. It allows you to transcend the limitations of the present and see what could be and what should be. Faith doesn't just believe in the present moment, it believes in the unseen future. It sees the mountain, but it also sees the summit. It feels the weight of the burden, but it knows that beyond that weight lies victory. The power of faith is the power to transform lives, move mountains, and change destinies. When we place our faith in God, we are tapping into a limitless source of strength, wisdom, and possibilities. Faith is not just wishful thinking. It is an active trust in a God who holds the universe in His hands and who is both capable and willing to turn your impossibilities into realities. Let me remind you that throughout history, it has been faith that has driven humanity forward, even in the darkest of times. When Noah built the ark, there was no sign of rain, but he believed. When Moses stood before the Red Sea, there was no path visible, no escape route in sight, but he believed, and God made a way. When David stood before Goliath, the odds were impossible, but he believed that victory was not his to win, but God's to deliver. And in each case, it was faith that opened the door for miracles. What is the mountain standing before you today? What is that obstacle that seems immovable? Is it a challenge in your career, a relationship that seems broken beyond repair, or a dream that feels too distant to reach? Whatever your mountain may be, I want to encourage you that faith can move it. But this is no passive faith. This is faith in action. It is the kind of faith that prays, works, and trusts that God will provide a way, even when you don't yet see the path. The world will tell you to rely only on what you can see, only on what you can touch, only on what you can rationalize. But those who change the world, those who live extraordinary lives, know that the greatest achievements begin with faith. The power of faith is that it takes you beyond the limits of your natural abilities and aligns you with the supernatural power of God. Remember, the giants of faith we read about in the Bible, Abraham, Sarah, Joseph, Esther, were ordinary people who, like us, faced doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Yet, they had faith in a God who could do the impossible. They believed in what they could not see, and through their faith, entire nations were transformed, miracles occurred, and the impossible was done. Faith is not just about believing in God when times are good and when everything is going according to plan. True faith stands firm in the storm, holds on in the valley, and dares to believe in miracles when all hope seems lost. When you have faith, you are not walking by sight. You are walking by trust in a God who sees the beginning from the end, a God who promises that all things are possible to him who believes. Mark 9:23. But let me also remind you that faith requires action. Faith without works is dead. James 2:17. We cannot just sit on our hands and wait for things to change. We must step out in faith, even when we do not see how everything will unfold. God honors our steps of faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, It was his faith that allowed him to defy the laws of nature. Yes, the winds and the waves surrounded him, but as long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on water. And that same power of faith that enabled Peter to walk on water is available to each one of us. So, I ask you today, where is your faith? What are you trusting God for? Are you willing to believe even when you don't see the evidence yet? Are you willing to step out and trust Him to make a way where there seems to be no way? If so, you are positioning yourself for something greater than you can imagine. Faith calls us to look beyond our circumstances and to trust in a higher reality, the reality of God's promises. It reminds us that our limitations are not His limitations. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, who calms storms with a word, and who raises the dead, is the same God who stands with you today. With faith, you can take bold steps, knowing that even when you can't see the outcome, God already has the victory planned. I leave you with this. Let your faith be the force that guides you, uplifts you, and moves you forward. Let it be the anchor in the storm and the light in the darkness. Believe not just in what is possible, but in what is impossible, for with God all things are possible. Now is the time to walk in faith, to trust in what cannot yet be seen, and to believe that through your faith, God will empower you to move mountains and achieve the impossible. Thank you, and may the power of faith transform your life and open doors you never thought possible. Keep believing, keep hoping, keep the faith. God is with you.